Good afternoon. Welcome to the business information meeting for the Terminal 3 micro restaurant and kiosk solicitation opportunity. My name is Janet Lee, the concessions program manager at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and I'll be facilitating the meeting today. Before we begin, our Chief Revenue Officer, Ms. Roxanne Favors, would like to kick off the event with a few words.
Good afternoon. As Janet mentioned, my name is Roxanne Favors, and I'm an Assistant Aviation Director. In my role, I serve as the Chief Revenue Officer for the City of Phoenix Aviation Department. I'm responsible to lead the strategic and business initiatives to grow our airport revenue generating areas. And those areas include the aeronautical and non-aeronautical property management, rent-a-cars, parking, terminal commercial advertising, and of course today, the airport concessions program. That program consists of both of our food and beverage, our retail and passenger amenities. I want to thank you for taking the time today to attend today's business information meeting on the Terminal 3 Small Business Food and Beverage Concession Opportunity. Your time is valuable, and I'm grateful that you're sharing some of that with us today. You will hear more about this exciting opportunity in a few moments, but I want to share a few details about our mission for Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Our goal is to welcome the world to Phoenix through ambitious, sustainable airports that everyone loves. We know that our business partners play a significant role in achieving our mission. As an airport, we strive to provide our passengers with unique experiences by cultivating the best of our community culture through dining, shopping, and amenity services, all creating a sense of place. Our airport sense of place is supported by our small business owners and operators that strive through their innovation and ingenuity and diversity. There will be a wealth of information presented by our presenters today, and they will share a little bit more about this business opportunity. And now I'd like to turn the meeting back over to Janet, and she will be lead today's meeting presentations. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Roxanne. Now, since this meeting is virtual and there are many of you joining us online, we have asked the webinar host to mute your microphones. There are a lot of information that we will be sharing, so we'll be posting the presentation on the solicitation site, which you can access through this QR code. We will also be recording this session. If you have questions during the presentation, feel free to submit them using the chat function. You may click on the chat feature in the bottom right corner of the WebEx to submit your questions, and we'll be addressing the questions at the very end of the presentation. And lastly, remember, everything discussed or answered today is subject to change as we are in development of the Revenue Contract Solicitation, or RCS, which is very similar to a request for proposal, but because it is revenue generating, Phoenix names ours Revenue Contract Solicitations. Now, today's agenda includes introducing the Aviation Department and Equal Opportunity Department team members, an overview of the Revenue Contract Solicitation opportunity at Terminal 3, including locations and details, outreach and small business requirements, and the Q&A at the very end. Now let's take a moment to meet our leadership who is instrumental to driving success in Phoenix. First, we have Ms. Roxanne Favors, our Chief Revenue Officer and Assistant Aviation Director. Next, we have Mr. Richard Graham, Deputy Aviation Director of Business and Properties Division. Mr. Prasan De Silva, Senior Business Manager of Concessions and Airline Affairs, and Ms. Karine Harbaugh, our Business Manager overseeing the concessions program. Continuing on with the concessions team, we have myself, Janet Lee, the Concessions Program Manager, and we have Mr. John Ojeda, the Project Manager responsible for food and beverage and ACDBE and small business relations. And we also have Mr. Trey Nicholas, our Economic Development Specialist. The concessions team consists of additional team members, but these are the core contacts that will be working with the successful respondent. Also joining us today from aviation is Ms. Sarah Morato, Small Business Engagement Manager from the Contracts and Services Division. And from the Equal Opportunity Department, we have Ms. Jana Evans and Mr. John Islas, Equal Opportunity Specialists. Now, aviation is a department within the city of Phoenix, and the department operates Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, and our airport operates as a self-supporting business enterprise. Wall Street Journal also named Phoenix Sky Harbor the best U.S. airport in 2023. And Sky Harbor is among the busiest airport in the United States, serving over 48 million passengers last year. Ranked as the third top mega airport in 2024 by J.D. Power, we've moved up 10 spots from the previous year. And with increased passenger projections comes the need to grow the airport's footprint and air service. We currently have 25 airlines operating out of Sky Harbor, and this number will increase to 26 next year when Aeromexico comes on board with daily flights to Mexico City. It's a safe bet to say that Phoenix is a vital gateway domestically and internationally. Here you can see the total passengers from 2019 to 2023, which illustrates how quickly Phoenix bounced back from the pandemic. Now, Terminal 3 is an essential hub for travelers in and out of Phoenix, with 16 airline options and a mix of domestic and international flights. And the international flights out of Terminal 3 are pre-custom cleared Canadian Airlines with Air Canada and Porter Airlines. There is a growing need for food and beverage services at Terminal 3 pre-security areas, with only one existing concession at baggage claim. And through survey findings, the feedback was to add additional food and beverage units in the pre-security side for meeters and greeters. The badging office is also being relocated to Terminal 3 and is slated to open later on this year. On average, the badging office processes 200 to 300 customers a day. And with over 6 million enplanements in Terminal 3 last year, concession demands will continue to rise. Anytime the airport seeks a qualified operator to develop and manage concession concepts, the opportunity is competed by revenue contract solicitation, as mentioned earlier. The RCS details the statement of work, specifications, minimum qualifications, evaluation criteria, and much more details. The highest scored proposer will be awarded the contracts. The city does not direct negotiate for any concession spaces. And the Terminal 3 micro restaurant and kiosk is the only current opportunity at the moment. The terminals are equipped with a range of dining and shopping options that enhances the travel experience, and this continues to be our goal. Increasing small business opportunities and driving sales and revenue with a quality food and beverage offering is essential to a successful concessions program. The operator should explore innovative solutions and technology to create an efficient ordering and payment experience for the customer. And of course, the overall best scored response will be selected for this opportunity. Let's dive into the details. So the micro restaurant unit will be situated on the 4th floor of the Terminal 3 pre-security as shown by the yellow star on the map. You can also see the future badging office on the south side of the building. The photo on the left shows the future location of the micro restaurant, which will sit along the window facing Camelback Mountain. The photos on the right is the actual units being operated out of Terminal 4 in 2022. The city purchased the micro restaurant, kiosks, and associated equipment, and the successful respondent will develop the proposed concepts with these units. An equipment list will be made available when the RCS is published. Now, a little bit details about the kiosk. It's going to be located at level 1 of Terminal 3, across from baggage claim on the north side of the building. The food and beverage option in level 1 is limited to Pete's Coffee, and by placing the kiosk behind the escalators directly across the baggage claim area, this will serve our customers waiting for their luggage. The kiosk was previously located in Terminal 4D gates and provided hot foods such as empanadas, breakfast burritos, and coffee. The standalone mobile units only require electrical power, and water can be independently brought in and stored in a reservoir. For this opportunity, the minimum qualifications include being a small business, as the city defines small business firms as owned and controlled by one or more persons. Personal net worth of each owner cannot exceed $2.047 million, and annual gross sales from the previous 5 years on average cannot exceed $56.42 million. Our Equal Opportunity Department team will provide additional details later in this presentation. The respondent must also have a minimum of 3 or more continuous years and the last 6 years of experience in the ownership, executive management, or operation of a food and beverage business concept. The contract term will be 3 years with 2 one-year renewal option on an aggregate 5-year term. Rent will be percentage of gross sales. Food and beverage will be set at 8% and 16% for alcohol, only applicable to the micro restaurant location if the operator decides to include alcohol sales with the appropriate and proper licenses. There'll be no required minimum annual guarantee or MAG for this lease. We understand the importance to operate out of the terminal. On-site storage is essential. We have identified a storage location post-security in Terminal 3, and terminal space are leased out based on the rates and charges calculations, which is currently set at $187.08 per square foot per year. The rates are adjusted annually on July 1st. The evaluation panel will score the proposers on the following evaluation criteria, which is proposed concepts and menu plans, management, marketing, and operations plans, experience and qualifications of the respondent, and the proposed business plan. Here's a look ahead of the solicitation schedule. We anticipate publishing the RCS in December, with our pre-response meeting to follow about 2 to 3 weeks afterwards. Once the procurement process is complete and the evaluation panel makes a selection, the aviation department will need to seek City Council approval to enter into a lease with the operator, tracking for spring of 2025. And a friendly reminder that these dates are subject to change as we are developing the solicitation. The next part of the presentation will focus on outreach and small business requirements. I'm pleased to introduce Sarah Morato, our Small Business Engagement Manager with Contracts and Services.
Thank you, Janet. As the Small Business Engagement Manager, I oversee our education and outreach initiatives with small businesses interested in working with our 3 airports. At the end of this presentation, you will see my contact information. So if you should have any questions about doing business with our airports or about any upcoming outreach events, please feel free to contact me. I want to thank you all for attending today's business information meeting. If you missed any portion of today's session, we will have a second BIM, as you can see here, taking place on October 30th. In addition, we will be hosting an Operating at Sky Harbor outreach session on November 7th, in which we will go over some of the ins and outs of operating at the airport and review some important information on our security and badging process, like parking, food delivering, storage, and more. Please see the information on the slide and check out our outreach page to learn more and to register. This next segment of the presentation will be led by the city's Equal Opportunity Department. We partner with the Equal Opportunity Department to manage our federal ACDBE and DBE programs, as well as the city's local SBE program. With that, I would like to introduce Jana Evans, an Equal Opportunity Specialist with the Equal Opportunity Department that works very closely with us on ACDBE matters such as compliance, monitoring, and outreach. Jana will be providing an overview of the outreach requirements for this RCS opportunity. Thank you for being here with us, Jana.
Thank you, Sarah, and welcome, everyone. I'm going to speak today in regards to the small business outreach requirements that Phoenix Sky Harbor implemented to help us to meet our participation goal. So as a recipient of U.S. DOT funding, Sky Harbor Airport is required to establish an ACDBE program in accordance with the U.S. DOT 49 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 23 and 26. The purpose of the presentation today is to provide more information to ACDBEs and small businesses about this opportunity to participate in the performance of concession contracts and to introduce you to some of the requirements necessary to participate in this opportunity. Next. So Phoenix Sky Harbor does not set race or gender conscious goals. What we do is we utilize a race and gender neutral measure to achieve ACDBE and small business participation. We also utilize a national market for our small business participation. And finally, Phoenix must report this participation annually to the FAA, or the Federal Aviation Administration. Next. So as part of the outreach requirement, successful respondents and concessionaires must conduct outreach to small businesses other than themselves. Some of these opportunities that small businesses could look at subcontracting with others would include janitorial services, uniform services, suppliers of products, and suppliers of goods and services. Next. So if you're looking to locate small businesses that are ready, willing, and able to participate in the contracts, we at EOD recommend that you use these two resources. The ACDBE, DBE, and Small Business Concerns website is the Arizona Transportation Business Portal, also known as AZU Tracks. We've got the website link and also a QR code that you can use to scan, and that will bring you to allow you to search. Additionally, City of Phoenix has a Small Business Enterprise Program, the SBE program. Now, this is done through the City of Phoenix Certification and Compliance System. We've got the link to the system there and also a QR code to scan for that. I do want to remind you, though, that your outreach efforts are not restricted to companies that are registered with the city. You can outreach to any small business that meets the small business standards identified earlier in the presentation and set by the Small Business Administration. Next. For this concession solicitation, when it's released, at the time that the submission happens, all respondents must, as a matter of responsiveness, complete and submit Forms EO1-200, the Statement of Outreach Commitment, Form EO2-200, Small Business Outreach and Efforts and Participants List, and Form EO3-200, their Small Business Utilization Commitment. Again, these forms will be made available when the solicitation is released. Next. So all respondents must fulfill those outreach requirements. Failure to provide the documentation of the required outreach efforts at the submission equals a rejected response, meaning the City of Phoenix will not consider your response as a response that we can proceed with. So outreach efforts to small businesses must be demonstrated by submitting required documentation. We've used the form EO2-200. Just a reminder, if the respondent is a small business, the respondent must conduct outreach to other small businesses. And if the respondent is a joint venture, which is a partnership between multiple companies, the respondent must conduct outreach to other small businesses that are not already a partner of that joint venture. Next. The small business outreach requirements, we just want to remind you that you have to complete these outreach requirements, even if you are an ACDBE or a small business, and you cannot outreach to yourself. Most important. Next. So some of the steps to take to conduct the outreach, we have a process that we call ICE-T. In this, it stands for you will identify opportunities for small business participation. You will conduct outreach for the small business participation. You will evaluate the small business participation, what you receive back from your small businesses. And you will tell each small business that responded to your outreach efforts of their selection decision, whether or not the business was selected to participate. And number one, first and foremost, document everything. Next. So this is a snapshot of the EO2 form. And again, this will be made available at the time of the RCS. But you can see how we utilize the data that you provide us for each of these outreach efforts. So you have your your identifying section of the form where you would identify the small businesses. You have the C where you make that outreach, how you solicit from them. You have your E, which is evaluation, so you would determine whether or not you're going to select them. And finally, and most important, you have section T, which is where you have to tell the small business whether or not you've chosen to have them participate in your contract with you. So identify, conduct, evaluate, and tell. ICE-T. Next. Again, all small business requirement or all successful respondents must fulfill the ACDBE program requirements and shall comply with the airport ACDBE program plan and again 49 CFR Code of Federal Regulations, parts 23 and 26. Successful respondents must track and report all ACDBE and small business participation that occurs as a result of contracts, procurements, purchase orders, purchasing goods and services, or any other arrangements involving sub-tier participation. And additionally, this data must be entered with supporting documentation monthly into the Phoenix Certification and Compliance System at this website, or again, can be accessed via this QR code. Next. Another component of our program is the Annual Small Business Participation Plan, known as the SBPP. So each successful respondent must submit an annual SBPP on the anniversary date of their contract execution date. This SBPP will detail the successful respondent's continuing commitment to outreaching to ACDBEs and small businesses. And in advance of the contract anniversary date, EOD will send the SBPP template to the successful respondents for completion. So we remind you. Next. With that, I will pass you over to our certification team who will provide some information on certification of small businesses. John, take it away.
Thank you, Jana. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to give a slight overview of our certification process. If small firms would like to be a certified disadvantaged business enterprise and or a small business enterprise, like Jana said earlier, is our local program. We are regulated by the Code of Federal Regulations, which is 49 CFR Part 23 and Part 26. You're going to be hearing that quite a bit. The EBE program is the federal program, and it is, we certify, the City of Phoenix certifies firms within Maricopa County for DBE and SB and ACDBE. ACDBE is a designation of the Federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise that firms who deal with the traveling public, concessionaires in the airport. DBEs may be utilized to meet goals for US DOT funded contracts that are administered by the City of Phoenix and some of the subrecipients as shown in the slide. Firms located throughout the state can be a DBE within the Unified Certification Program, the UCP. So if a firm is certified in their home state, say Colorado or Nevada, they can file an interstate and be a certified DBE within Arizona. We also have a local program which is open to firms that are headquartered in Maricopa County. This is not only guided by 49 CFR, but it's codified in the Phoenix City Code, Chapter 18, Article 6. These certified SBE firms are given opportunities to meet a goal within local funded contracts, and they have abilities to bid on certain small contracts that are open to certified firms. Some of the benefits are that they have many opportunities to participate in the city's concessionaires program. They are able to bid directly with the city if they are City of Phoenix registered vendors. And like I said earlier, there are some smaller contracts that are open to just certified firms to bid on. We have a search engine, like on the next page, we'll speak of that, but large firms can look up certified firms with the different search engines. And not only do government agencies utilize SBEs and DBEs, many private sector firms also would like to have their internal programs to utilize small businesses. If a firm is certified, it is not a guarantee of work. It just allows you to bid and perhaps be asked to give bids and estimates to firms that are looking to meet a goal. Next page, please. So like said earlier, this is the landing page for the City of Phoenix Certification and Compliance System. This is available at the phoenix.diversitycompliance.com address, and you may apply for both the federal DBE program and the SBE program with this application process. As said earlier, there is a search engine right on this landing page for the small business enterprise, the City of Phoenix firms. You do not have to log in if you're looking for a small firm or you're a small firm that can be found using the search engine. DBE and ACDBE firms are located at the AZU Tracks search engine. Those addresses and QR codes were given to you on slide 26. I just would like you to know that SBE are on the City of Phoenix compliance system, DBE and ACDBEs. The search engine is available at AZU Tracks. Thank you very much for your time. Back to you, Jana.
Thank you, John. So additional support for small business, some additional contacts. If you have questions, you would contact the Equal Opportunity Department, Business Relations Division. For questions that John and his team could help you with, the certification team, there is their direct phone number and a QR code to contact them at. And for myself and the rest of the compliance team, we have our direct phone number, our QR code, and you can also submit any questions via email at business.relations.eod@phoenix.gov. Next. And I'll turn this back over to you, Janet.
Thank you. So for questions on today's presentation, you can email bizops.aviation@phoenix.gov, or at the end of the presentation, we can go back to the QR code that lists where the presentation will be posted. For any questions on ACDBE and small business participation, please feel free to contact Jana Evans and Ms. Sarah Murato. Now, gentle reminder, we have another business information scheduled for Wednesday, October 30th, for those of you who cannot join us today. A virtual outreach meeting will also be held on November 7th for an overview of how to operate at Sky Harbor, and you can register for these events using the QR code shown on the screen. Since the RCS is not published yet, interested respondents can discuss this opportunity with city staff to learn more about the process and details, but when the RCS is published, the solicitation transparency policy will be in effect, which means you must go through the procurement officer for clarifications. If you reach out to city staff regarding this opportunity during the transparency policy period, you will be disqualified from the process. I wanted to thank you all for your interest in this small business opportunity and appreciate you joining our event today. And next up is our Q&A session. You can keep typing your questions into the chat box. You may also use this opportunity to provide feedback from what you've heard today, and the team will take it back and go back to the drawing board and see how we may alter certain business terms if it makes sense for both the airport and the future operator. Let's begin with the first question. Anissa, if you will.
First, I apologize if I am mispronouncing anyone's name. Kyle, question. If we don't include alcohol in our initial proposal, is there a possibility to add alcohol at a later date?
Yes, there will be an opportunity to add alcohol at a later date.
Connell, I apologize again. If I understand correctly, these space is only pre-security, right?
That is correct. The micro restaurant and the kiosk are located at Terminal 3 pre-security. Micro restaurant is going to be on the level 4, and the kiosk will be level 1 at baggage claim.
How do we send application? Also, whom can we reach out, email or phone, for any questions on next steps?
We'll go back to the beginning of the presentation to showcase where the presentation will be located, which is this QR code. You take a screenshot to obtain a copy of the presentation. And in that link, you'll see the procurement officer and the contracts and services division's contact information regarding this.
Is the agenda on October 30th the same as today?
Yes.
Do you have to have a business location already in Arizona to apply for the opportunity at the airport?
You won't need to have a location in Arizona. However, you do need to have the experience of operating a food and beverage concept in the last 3 years out of the last 6 years. And you must be registered with the Arizona Corporate Commission to do business in the state of Arizona and fulfill the other minimum requirements.
Is there a plan for where we can wash clean items from the micro restaurant?
The micro restaurant is a self-contained area.
I'll go ahead and help Janet on that. Within the micro restaurant, there's a unit that you can do the hand washing and cleaning. It's all self-contained in there, so there's a sink. And this is a unit in which, again, the water can be brought in to be attached, so it does not require to be hard lined into the water. And I wanted to also follow up on the question about next steps. I'll have our team flip to the sequence of this release. For this process, it's a solicitation, so that will require, once the opportunity is released, and that was that QR code that the team shared earlier, that will release the full solicitation that will include all this information, but probably in a little bit more detail. You'd have to respond to it, so sending back your response, that's the submittal due date. That is late January 2025. Then all the proposals that are found to be responsive and responsible, meaning you meet those minimum qualifications, will be reviewed, and then there will be a recommendation about who to award the contract to. So I just wanted to provide a little bit more clarity on what's the next steps. So in our process, we'll have 2 additional business information meetings. There will also be a pre-response meeting that you see listed here. That is one in which is strongly encouraged that everyone attend that meeting to understand the process for that. And then the true work begins once you submit your proposal to us and that review that's there.
Will there be an opportunity to extend fresh and wastewater connections?
For these 2 opportunities, no. That's why they're self-contained units, the way that they're set up. So there's no hard line into water or sewer lines in these 2 locations.
Is it possible for the city to have a small business program that has levels? For example, small business who earn less than 10 million, another level 10 million plus. This allows those with similar gross receipts to compete.
So I appreciate that question. For Sky Harbor, this is one of our initial programs completely tailored toward our small business. And within that, we have followed the guidelines of the Small Business Administration that defines gross sales as a great indicator of success in an airport environment for that. So at this time, this program is structured for this particular opportunities. I would say stay tuned. We are continuing to evaluate other opportunities for potentially lesser gross sales requirements. But for this particular opportunity, we are following the Small Business Administration's definition of a small business regarding gross sales.
Can we have a sip and stroll beverage only, beer and wine based business at one of these two locations where customers are allowed to take the drink through security?
I appreciate that question as well. Phoenix Sky Harbor, as we are within the state of Arizona, and the state of Arizona sets the liquor requirements, those possibilities are not available currently by the state liquor board. We continue to pursue whatever the state liquor board will allow us to do within our defined spaces. But that style of walking around with the alcohol is not currently available within the state of Arizona for airports.
Is the kiosk only restricted to empanadas, breakfast, burritos, and coffee? Or we can also offer fresh pastries, smoothies, sandwiches, etc.
Yeah, the kiosk and baggage claim level is not limited to just empanadas or burritos. We're really looking for, a creative menu that kind of showcase a little bit about Phoenix as well, as we are sometimes the first and last, area that the people that you see, they experience at airport when they come here and then when they depart too. So we'd like to show what Phoenix has to offer and whatever the you can provide in that space that we have.
Are only small businesses able to bid on either of these locations?
So definitely a small business is required for this package, but this package is going to be for both locations, not as a single unit.
Does your company needs to be AC, DBE, and DBE certified to be able to apply?
Jana, can you take this question, please?
At this point, no, the company does not need to be ACDBE or DBE certified to apply. However, we would like to help you to explore getting that certification, which would allow the airport to fulfill its participation goal with the Federal Aviation Administration, with the FAA. So it would be something we'd like to explore with you, but you do not need to be certified to apply.
Okay, there are no questions at this time.
Well, again, thank you all for participating today in our business information. If you missed any information, we have the presentation posted at our solicitation link, and also there's another session on October 30th. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you.